Flyco. Simply the best custom-made fly rods on the market. Always built to order just the way you want it. Hey, but look up Let's Flyco on Instagram or Facebook. Electrocuted myself trying to get this podcast going. Ben is with us. Ben Tutt, good friend of the show. I would say a personal friend of mine. And for those of you that don't know, we record generally a few days ahead of time. It's 7:00 on Friday morning. I've had a few beers already. So this is going to be exciting. You can't drink all day if you don't start in the morning, Ben. How you doing, buddy?
Exactly. Hanging in there, Sean. Love being a fill-in guest for a week.
Oh, dude, you're a fill-in guest every time we've had you on. I mean, I'm not gonna lie.
I'm not.
Next
cool
week
enough.
we have the world famous Gretchen.
I was gonna say I'm not cool enough to be
next
up
week
there,
we have the
but
world
I'm
famous
right there.
Yeah, you're like right there. Next week it's Gretchen and Al Beatty. And I don't know if you know who that is. I mean, he's written more books than you've read.
Well, if he's written two books, then he's got me beat.
Yeah. Great guy. We tested out some stuff. He's actually going to be tying a fly. If you're not on the YouTube channel, if you're not on the Kayak Flyer YouTube channel, you definitely want to be a week from now when they're on, because they're going to tie and do it because they go to these traveling seminars. And they do demonstrations and talks. And so they're going to tie a fly on air with us and sort of walk people through it verbally, but you'll be able to see it on the YouTube. So if you're not on the YouTube, check out the Kayak Flyer YouTube. It's great. But Ben, dude.
Yes, sir.
This has been one weird summer. You've fished more than me.
It's been a weird summer. It's been just weird in general. Here in Central Illinois, we're battling a lot of rain, and then we get oppressive heat waves, and then more rain. And so it's been a weird spring summer for me. But I'm getting out there, getting it done. You know, I just spent a week up in Wisconsin and on the Kinnickinnick River, and had a lot of fun catching a little brown trout and doing my thing, chasing after a little bluegill and bass and crappie around here in Central Illinois.
So a brown trout. A brown trout's a species. I've caught them. I've never caught a nice one.
Yeah,
I've never caught a decent one. I caught 3 one night, and 2 of them were my personal best, and the biggest one was 8 inches.
Okay. Yeah.
What are you throwing for the brown trout? And tell me a little bit about that experience.
Sure. So up on the Kinnickinnick or the Kinney, up in River Falls, Wisconsin, you got a lot of hatches going off. It was the best night was the last night fishing there. And we're not talking, monster brown trout. We're talking, 8, 12 inches. But it's just one of those magical moments where you're there at like 8 or 8:30 at night, and the bugs are just as thick as you could be. You're seeing caddis going by you, and mayflies, and just it's one of those like you want to write a story about. And I'm throwing a 3-weight 7/6, a little click and paw drag reel, and I'm skittering it across the water, a little Adams, and they are literally doing backflips trying to get that fly. And it's just one of those moments where you're not chasing after trophies, you're just there for the moment, and it's so much fun to chase after those little fish. And they go, they start peeling some drag, and just makes, just like I said, live in that moment, and it was so much fun.
Yeah. I'll take 100 inches a day if I'm getting 10-inch fish versus 3 33-inch fish in an entire, I mean, it's one of those where it's quality is great and catching big fish is incredible.
Yeah.
I've caught some big fish. I'm going to talk about that a little bit later on the podcast. But when you have good action,
Oh yeah.
that's what we live for, is that great action. Some people maybe not. It's like deer hunting, but having that
Yeah,
really good action.
I absolutely, like you said, living in that moment and seeing all these fish rise for these bugs that are coming off the water, and you're in the prime. You're right there. That sun's starting to sink down, and I fished until I broke off, and I could not see to run the line back through the eye of the hook. I mean, it was dark. I was hiking the trail back with no headlights, and literally I was following the lightning bugs up the trail to get back to my car. And it's just again with a big shit-eating grin on my face, because it was just one of those magical moments where you're just in fly fishing, where it was just epic, even though you're catching 8 to 10 inch fish.
You got to watch your cussing there. You're going to have to block your own podcast from your own Facebook
I
page.
I know. We'll keep it mildly clean. Let's go with PG 13 tonight.
That sounds good. What size fly were you throwing for
So
those?
the Adams that
You
I
said you're
was,
throwing an Adams. What
yeah,
size
I was
Adams?
throwing a 14. And I mean, I was throwing an Adams 14 most of the time, and then I was going with a Caddis 16-18. But the Adams was just, I mean, it was the way to go. It was the way to go. And it was, like I said, I would go cast it up against the bank, and then just let that current take it down, and I would literally skitter it across the stream. And no sooner do I do kind of a pick it up off the water and let it drop back down, those fish were doing backflips for it. I mean, they were coming up and just hammering it. It was so much fun. So much fun.
Well, I'm gonna go ahead and tell you this, and it's an inside secret. The day the audio drops for this podcast, the day people are listening to this, I'm going to be fishing a size 16 Griffith's gnat, which I never thought I would tie.
Now that's epic for you.
I have. Oh, it is. I mean, it's a Dooley's
Mm-hmm.
flyfishing.com, a fly medic box. Nick Dooley's a great guy, wonderful guy, starting a homegrown business. You got to support these small businesses. I mean, he doesn't give me anything for free. I wish he would, but I understand it, so I pay for it. He doesn't even pay for the sponsorship on the show. I mean, like, he knocks off like $1 off shipping for me, so I guess that's okay. But anybody that listens can save 15% with promo code Kayak at dooleyflyfishing.com. But the Fly Medic box, he sent me this, and it's like the Griffith's gnat, and it's supposed to be a size 18. And he sent it to me, and I got it in the mail. I'm like, oh, dude, this looks great. I'm like, oh, I thought it was a size 18. I got 16s. And he emailed me back, and he's like, yeah, you can't tie an 18.
Hey, you know what? I love the support from Nick. me and Nick, I started Stupid Simple when Nick started the his online shop. Really, he started off online, and he's in Illinois too. So a couple of Illinois boys working together on fly fishing. It's been a match made in heaven. I'm with you. I get $1 off here and there for
Yeah.
shipping, but you know what? He's taking good care of me. When I screw up an order, it's my own fault, and he fixes it for me. I'm
Yeah.
happy. I'm okay with it.
I've got I've gotten to the point I just call him on the phone and I'm like, "I'm gonna tie this fly." He's like, "Okay."
He's like, "Here's the materials you need."
I send him pictures of what I need. Yeah. But that Fly Medic box, and I'm gonna say this, I'm gonna brag about it. I mean, a size 16 fly for me, and if you're watching the Kayak Flyer YouTube channel, which we already mentioned, you're seeing that I'm tying big. Like a size 1 hook is small.
Yeah.
I'm
If
throwing
nobody
meat.
knows Sean here, Sean small is a 1 to maybe a 1 That's small for him.
I'm a warm
Yay.
water guy. I fish for
There you go.
smallies. And I
Yeah.
love them. I absolutely love them, and I love doing a lot of different things, but I broke down and I bought a really massive pair of reading glasses whenever I got this whenever I got this box. I'm like, "Oh my, I can't
Did
see
you?
anything." I'm like, I was tying a couple of them by feel,
Eh.
and I had to use my phone to magnify them. Like, I'd half hitch and then magnify it with my phone to see if it looked
Now,
alright.
now the glasses, the reading glasses, were they like two telescopes put together, or were they?
It was like a
Yeah,
Mr. Magoo, yeah, it was really
couple of
bad,
Coke bottles.
because when you get my age, yeah. But I wound up, I tied a couple of these very successfully, and I was very happy with them. So I got a hold of Nick, and I got some size 16, um, I guess they're jig hooks and tungsten
There you
beads.
go.
And then I had and some nymph hooks at size 16 with some
Yeah.
gold beads. So I've been tying, I always slaughter Tim's last name. I it's how do you say it? Tim Tim
Okay.
Kamasi. I was talking to Tim, and he's like, yeah, he goes, you can tie lightning bugs in whatever color you want to. So I started tying the size 16 lightning bugs off his 2-minute fly tying tutorial. And then I started tying size 16 zebra midges.
Oh.
And I'm sitting there going, man, oh yeah. And then I sent the pictures to Nick, and Nick's like, hey, you want some 18s? I'll ring you up some 18s.
We're gonna get you down there.
The constant
Yep, we're gonna
salesman.
get you down there. We're gonna get you down to an
Ah,
18,
I
20.
may have to move up. May have I'm gonna have to move up a couple of powers because I go to look at that. You know how you thread that wire into the head of the fly when you tie that zebra
Yep.
midge, and I'm like, I I get drunk as hell without even drinking because I'm trying to look at my bead and I can see the stuff in the back that is all blurry, and every time I move my head, I get a little nauseous. It's like I'm on a boat. Oh, it's great. I mean, I love it though.
Yeah.
It's great because I'm challenging myself, and I would say to anybody that's a fly tyer, challenge yourself. If you don't tie a big bug, tie a
Yep.
big bug.
No,
Tie.
I totally agree with you on that. I mean, I tie saltwater flies, and I'm in Central Illinois. But I look at some saltwater flies, and I'm like, bass will eat that. But it's that challenge of learning. I there's a lot of people that can get pigeonholed into a one set of flies, and you can continue to tie those, and that's fine. That's great, but broaden your horizons a little bit and try something a little different, a little bit out of the box. Um, because if you tie something that's a little bit
I
out of the box, your local fish may have not seen that fly, or and they might want to go, that's new. I want to eat it.
and that is a great segue for what I was going to talk about. Fly Tires Dungeon, which you can buy from Nick Dooley. You can buy Fly Tires Dungeon products either straight from Fly Tires
Yep.
Dungeon or save 50% promo code kayak from dooley'sflyfishing.com. Um, I'm on the test crew and I got these today. These are 5/0 jigs. These are the Big Game JG 6000. This is a 5/0 hook. I'm going to put it up next to my hand. I'm 6'3", and this thing is as long as one of my fingers. I called my brother-in-law, who is a
Yeah,
machinist, and he's going to weld me a
there
vice
you go.
grip onto a
Hey,
stand to tie these.
Lefty the legend did it that way for a very long time. But eventually, Sean, you're gonna need to get one of these things with the Jurassic jaws.
What? Oh,
It's
it's
a
a
peak
peak.
with That's
Is
a
that a
peak with the
peak?
Jurassic jaws. This thing will bend that hook. I mean, this thing is. I throw an 8/0 hook in there, and it looks so tiny. I mean, this thing is probably 40. It feels like it's 40 pounds on the base, but you're gonna invest in those. I feel it. I know it's gonna happen. I know it's gonna happen.
Well, I mean, we all know I love my
Yeah.
big flies, and the 5/0 hook for largemouth bass. It's not the hook isn't too
No.
big.
No.
I
By any means.
mean, when throwing on an 8 weight with no extra weight on the head, we can tie some great flies with that. And I had a problem, and I mentioned this a couple weeks ago. I think I had a problem where I've had a Griffin spider vise for years,
Yeah, it's a solid vice.
and yep, and one of the screws when I was tightening down broke, and I had chipped the front end of it off. I don't I don't remember. I mean, it was a long time ago, and so they sent me free. I sent them back the jaws. They sent me a brand new pair of jaws, and whether it's user error, I don't know. I chipped my jaws again, so I just called them and I said, "Look, I'm not gonna ask you for this free again." So I bought the lever jaws,
Hmm.
and so it's great for my. I've only tied the size
Yeah.
16s on it so far, but I'm sitting here going, I want to buy, and I don't know if I don't know if it's like a handgun. Need is never in the equation.
Yeah. Yeah. There's
True.
a need, and then
Nobody,
there's a want that's maybe a little bit higher, but they kind of equal out. They work out. Don't worry, it's okay.
yeah, nobody ever says I need a Desert Eagle.
Happens.
I really have to have a 44 caliber Desert Eagle. I need that. No, I bought one. I didn't like it, so I traded it for a 308 handgun.
I I need I need the judge.
Dude, when are you coming to see me? We will light that thing off. Best handgun purchase all around I've bought. Beautiful gun. Love it. Love
Mm,
it. And this is from a guy that shoots
yeah.
competition. I mean, oh, booyah. But and I'm not going to say need, I want I really want a vise that, even if I've got to pay an extra $100 to have the small size 18 up to the size 5, 6, 7 aught hooks,
Yeah.
because I go to Louisiana, I go to Florida. I mean, I travel, you know.
Yeah.
I like big flies, and I cannot lie.
Well, you're like me. You cover a wide range of species. Um, where some days I feel like waking up, grabbing a little fly box of some little bit of fluff and go after bluegill. And then come spring or fall, I'm chasing muskie. I mean, we've got it goes
Yeah,
all over the place. Um, and there's
yeah.
there's vices that fit those hook sizes. Um, I'm a peak fan. I'm gonna come out and say it. I'm a peak fan. I love peaks, where I can change out the
Really?
head.
R
Yeah,
I didn't know.
I have
I never knew you were a Peak fan.
I have 3 of them. Um, because I'm too lazy to change out.
So you have 2 and I now have 1. You have 2 and I have 1,
I'm
right?
too lazy to change out the saltwater
Otherwise, I'm gonna tell
jaws.
your wife that you have 4.
Oh, it's a good story when I bought the 2, because I had to turn to the wife and go, I'm buying 2 vices. I'm get I I need one for my musky flies, and I need one so I don't have to change out the jaws all the time. Now, you don't have to go that crazy, and you can get the jaws. You can get the midge jaws, and you can have the regular jaws that come with it,
Mhm.
and then you can have the saltwater jaws. Um, yeah, that's all extra, and the peak vices aren't as pretty as regals, and I would love to have a regal, but peak is in my budget. Um, and it's been the perfect tool for me in tying flies. It's not pretty.
Now, is it Renzetti? Is Renzetti the one where you just squeeze the handle, but it's not a rotary
Well,
vise?
Renzetti's got some.
Is that a or a
Regal's
Regal?
got some too, where you just squeeze the clamp and it opens up. Um, and
Yeah.
I mean, those are great, and I love
I'm
them.
trying to think of what I was looking at, because yeah, I none of these people sponsor the show, so I have no problem talking trash on anything.
And
Um,
Griffin,
if
I
you
have Griffin vices. I've got a couple. I mean, that was the first vice I started tying on, was just a basic Griffin vice, C clamp vice. I still have it, and it works out
yeah,
great.
and Bernie is a nice guy. He won't come on the podcast. I talked to Bernie last week again. Yeah, no. Have, the mad scientist from Fly Tires Dungeon, or have Rick from Oasis Fly Tying Tables. Oh, no. And I'm like, well, maybe Holly will come on. No, 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 no. I'm like, dude, here I am just shoveling money over to you, and I can't get you on the podcast. So if you know anybody that works in the vice industry that wants to give me a free vice, I will put them on the podcast and just plug the snot out of them.
Yeah, I mean, vices are what feels good to you. And is it a $10 vice, or is it a $1,000 vice? I mean, I've found my
Oh my
niche.
lord.
I've found my niche with Peak, and I'm very happy with it. And again, I'm with you. I'm not sponsored. I've had to pay full price for all of the peaks that I have, but I really enjoy them. And they're simple. They're easy to maintain, and like I said, you can switch out the jaws anytime you want. And be prepared. You could go from your size 20, 22, 24. You can get the midge jaws for all that, or you can go to the saltwater jaws and tie your 3-aught hook. I mean, you can pimp out your peak
Yeah.
vices any way you want.
I'm just with the popularity of the Facebook page you run, Stupid Simple, you're really missing out on the opportunity of making a
Oh,
payday.
I know, but you know what? I started Stupid Simple as just a fun project. I'm not here to become bro staff for a bunch of companies and that kind of thing. Granted, I'm wearing a Dr. Slick's hat, but I won the Dr. Slick's hat through a competition. Um, I mean, I I love tying. I have a love of fly tying, and I don't care if you tie on a Cabela's vice. I don't care if you tie on a Ranzati vice.
Mhm.
I don't care if you tie on a Regal vice, or you use the $75 bobbins that are out there. I don't care. Tying to me is
as
so much fun.
as long as it's not a Norvise. Yeah, as long as it's not a Norvise,
Yeah.
we're all right,
Well,
right?
you know,
What is the hate for Norvise? Have you seen all the Norvise hate?
there's a lot of hate for Norvise. I personally have never used one. I've never used the bobbin. I know the bobbin, the retractable bobbin, everything sounds great. I've never used one, and I've never used the Norvise. They, to me, they're made for that person that's going to tie commercially. You can tie up bugs if you know how to use
Yeah,
it. You can tie up bugs super fast, and they've got a great
yeah. I
product.
mean, a size
Yeah,
16. Yeah, a size 16 zebra midge would be what, two
yeah.
turns, two
They just spin
spins,
that and
and
they're
you're
done.
done.
I mean,
Yeah,
it's. I'm
yeah.
not gonna knock Norvise. Um, would I love to have one in my collection? Yeah, I would definitely love to have one in my collection. But I have a hard time. The price point isn't for me. I have a hard. I work.
We booked a
I work in retail, so I don't make a lot of money. Um, I just work very
well,
hard.
maybe you ought to monetize your stuff and get one. We had a guy from Norvise that was going to be on the show. He was a bro
Mhm,
staff, and and there was something came up with his family, and he couldn't make it. Tried to reach back out, it didn't work out. But one of the things I made a joke, I'm like, so, do you have like any seconds that you can mail me? And, Adam, who's usually with
mhm.
us, a vice. And he sends back, he goes, at our price, we don't have seconds.
They're
Like,
they're
damn.
tough. They are tough. They're a tough, firm. I mean, I like I said, I would love to have one in my collection, but I have a hard time shelling out that kind of money, for something that's probably going to sit
Well, you
on a
don't tie
shelf.
that many woolly buggers.
Oh, dude, I
I mean,
steer clear as much as I can of woolly buggers, even though I've got 3 trays of woolly buggers.
but how fast? How fast could you tie a woolly bugger on
Oh
that thing?
man, I bet you could.
Spin it one
Yep,
way, turn the wires, spin it
way, and
another way.
you're
You're
done.
done.
Yeah. I actually think I've seen a video of a guy. So one of my favorite flies to use down in Missouri, is the wire worm. I love going to the trout parks and I run this wire worm. It's on a size 8 hook, and it's just pretty much red wire, and you do a little hot spot of orange right in the middle of it, right? So I'm pretty sure I've seen a video of a guy with a DeWalt drill attached to the Norvise, and he just runs because all it is wire on the hook. So then he holds the vise, or he holds the drill, runs that wire, wraps around the hook, and then he just does a couple of turns of thread, and then he's done. I mean, and that's all about
Yeah,
production tying, and some
yeah.
people do it for the money, and that's great. I mean, I wouldn't mind selling some of my flies, but I don't want to be tied down to production time.
Well, that brings up a funny subject because I've been working, I me and my 11-year-old son at home all
Hmm.
day is not good for my wife. We make we make alcohol-fueled rocket launchers and Lego ballistas. We've made a trebuchet.
Hey, you know what?
Basically, if we can destroy
He's
something,
learning about science.
that's what I keep saying, but she keeps saying you can't break everything in the house and we need somebody to re-drywall. Um, So I got this little gig doing this delivery for this. I'm not going to mention the name of the company. Things didn't go well. It wasn't really working out for me. I wasn't making enough money. And I'm sitting here and I'm tying up these size 16 midges, these zebra
Yeah,
midges I've never tied before. And I'm like whipping them out. I'm like, oh my Lord, I can't. I'm like, I've got to buy like 125 hooks next time because this 36, stone, fire stick isn't
yeah,
working. You know
yep.
what I mean? I gotta get on this. And then I'm sitting there and my wife goes, okay, so how many can you tie an hour? And I said, I can tie this many an hour. She goes, how much does material cost? I said, it's this much. She goes, how much beer do you drink? I'm like, oh shit.
There's the kicker right there. There's the kicker.
Because after every fly, I take a drink of beer.
Yep.
I'm tying them so fast that I'm drinking beer faster than I know what to
Yeah.
do.
I'll tell you what though, those zebra midges in black down in your area in Missouri are killer in the trout areas. I do.
I've been doing them with a I've been doing them with a gold bead and gold wire in
Okay,
olive.
that doesn't sound bad.
That's what I've been tying. I don't have I don't have the silver beads. I've got to buy some. I mean, and I'm gonna do the blacks in 18. I mean, we're gonna, and I got a bigger wire for the Tim. Oh God, how do you say his last name? Tim Camisa's lightning bugs. So I got the bigger wire. So now I've got to buy smaller wire, and I've got to buy tungsten. And
You
dude,
go start going down the
it's a
rabbit
horrible
hole.
thing when you get into this where you've got to. I'm gonna tell you this. I had a very simple fly set up,
Mhm.
and then we had Rick from Oasis Fly Benchers on, and he sent me a fly caddy. So you were asking the other day about a
Yep.
caddy, and like some people said, use a deer antler, this or that. Well, he sent me one. Oh my, it's beautiful. Oh, it's
Believe me,
oh,
I have
just
been eyeing
beautiful.
the Oasis stuff for a long time, and I'm just like,
I can give you Rick's
I
phone number.
can't pull.
I can give you Rick's phone number off air if you have it. In every post you put up, I can probably. I'm serious. Every post you put up, you put
Oh
his
my
name in
god,
there. I'm
I have
telling you,
looked
brother. I'll send it to
I
you
have
off air.
looked at the Oasis products, and I mean I've made my own tool caddy, but I made that 4 years ago, and I'm a
Oh no.
gadget freak. Like I love gadgets and new stuff.
Yeah.
So it's getting overran. And literally I took some 1x3s and layered them up and then drilled holes for my stuff. But now I'm just like, I
No,
gotta
dude.
move up. I gotta move up in the world.
Rick was a great guest. He's great. He's actually the ones that got me Al.
Mhm.
Al
Yep.
Beatty next week on the show. If you want to, I know you're listening to a loser right now, but if you want to hear a really good podcast guest, Al Beatty's going to be on the show next week. No, Rick is phenomenal. The Apache trout. If you haven't listened to that podcast, go back and listen to Rick with Oasis. But anyway, I'm telling you, dude, I bought 3 more right
Mhm.
bobbins just to put in there because my 3 that I had looked alone.
You're a sucker for right bobbins.
I mean, if you buy
I'm a
one of
right
these,
bobbin
you
sucker too. I love right bobbins. Oh man, I love them. Um,
dude, he was on the show
I know,
too. He
I
is a
know.
great guy. I mean,
Yeah,
well, you listened to that
yeah.
show. He was a great guy.
I
I gotta get him back
so
on.
so funny story for all the listeners out there. So during my time at work, I'm retail manager. I'm gonna let the cat out of the bag a bit. I kind of sneak away and listen to the podcast just because I'm curious on what Sean's gonna bring out. One week it's Bigfoot, next week it's right bobbins.
It literally was back to
Exactly,
back.
exactly. But
And hey, we can't forget our buddy, the only person that's never offered to give me anything ever. Eric Jackson did not offer to give me an Apex kayak. I mean, they're only $15,000.
only, only. I bet you he cut you a deal for 50%
Only.
off.
He told me he would let me have one for 14.9.
Oh, yeah. That's a good deal.
Yeah.
Hey, their
Yeah.
kayaks are nice. Again.
God, those are oh, they're sexy.
Yeah. I was out.
Oh, and this chair is swivel. So if you get on it, you can swivel the chair and then sit down and swivel
Are
back.
you kidding me?
No, dude, check them out. Eric went balls to the wall when he left Jackson Kayak. They are
Really?
amazing.
See, I just got
Oh,
to be
wow.
honest, I'm a little slow to the game this year with my kayak. We just took our kayaks out.
Yep.
God, a couple days ago. And I ended up getting stranded because my truck broke down. But I got out there and
I know. I texted you. You're like, I'm
I'm
stuck. I
stuck.
can't get
I'm
out.
stuck. Truck is broken down. Um, so
I'm like, do you need me to come get you?
well,
6 hours
th-
later, Sean shows up.
thank God I've married into a farm family and they have plenty of trailers to load up vehicles. So 11 o'clock at night, we're rolling out of the fishing hole and we just dropped the truck and trailer off at my house, and the father-in-law takes one of our vehicles, so he can go to work the next day. But thank God that I've got that support. But we were out in our kayaks, and
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. I went out and I'm like, I'm not gonna. We were dealing with storms and everything else. I wasn't gonna rig up a fly rod, so I took a spinning gear, um, and got out there.
Hmm.
We have a lot of grass in our lakes around here. So what I do is I paddle along the grass
Hmm.
line and I look for areas that are open and in the middle of the grass. And not the shameless
Yeah.
plug, but I do throw a live target mouse. So it's a mouse.
Mm.
I've got a smaller one that's about 3-4 inches, and then I've got a bigger one that they call the rat, and it's probably 6 to 8
Yeah.
inches. And I throw that thing, and I ended.
And that costs like 75
Yeah, it's
bucks.
stupid.
The big one's like
Yeah, it's stupid
$75.
ridiculous. I wouldn't say 75. It's like 20, but still,
But I mean, it's like a
he,
$40 lure.
it's 20.
Yeah, I mean, they're beautiful, but yeah.
So I throw out there.
Well, I guess you're shopping somewhere. You're not shopping
I
where I'm
throw
at
that
then.
out there and I work it across those open spots in the grass. And I mean, out of nowhere, a 3-4 pound bass just annihilates it. And it felt good to get out on that kayak, paddle around. Like I said, we were in between storms, so I was like, I don't really want to mess with the fly rod. I'll pull out the gear, and
Yeah.
that's, oh my god, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I do that. When I go out to the Elks Lake a lot of times because it's 60 foot deep in the channel. I'm an elk.
Hmm.
I don't know if any of our listeners are elks or not, but we have a lake and the channel's about 60 foot deep and you can pull out really nice catfish. And it's got a lot of grass in it. And I take the spinning gear a lot just because it's not conducive to fly fishing. But since we're talking about bass, I have to brag on this.
Okay.
I was at my friend's pond, and it's maybe an acre, acre and a half pond. It doesn't take long to fish all the way
Sure.
around it. Let's
Sure.
just put it like that. And I was casting a Krebs popper. I got the cutter from River Road Creations, and second strip, a bass took it. And I was using my 4 weight. And man, this was not something I should have had the 4 weight for. It was a 6 weight size fish. Uh, third, I landed it, got it off, safely released it. Third cast, something hit it and ran and snapped my tippet.
Oof.
I mean, like there wasn't like a fringe. It wasn't like it was a bad knot. It was like pink. I mean,
Yep.
gone. It was a big
Yeah.
fish. So I thought, well, hell, I'm going to throw in one of these stealth bombers, another River Road Creations cutter fly.
Sure.
Dude, I caught my personal best bass out of that pond on that stealth bomber, and probably my third or fourth personal best bass ever. This thing was fat. I mean, it took me forever to get it in. Again, not I should have rotted up. I honestly should have had the
Yeah.
8 weight. Honestly, for the temperature that it was, I got it back and it swam off. And I mean, there's lots of this is a well
Yeah.
overstocked pond. But anyway, the stealth bomber I was really impressed with, and River Roads Creations, who again not a sponsor of the show, but a great company to work with and have been on the show. I'm starting to really love these foam flies early in the morning and late in the
Yeah.
evening.
Yeah. I
And I don't know what your experiences.
I've been getting into tying poppers, and been a lot of fun. It's always great to get that top water foam, like when you get a popper, or I have the foam cutters, for the STP frogs, and yeah,
Oh
I
yeah, those
I
are
got
awesome.
I got the full set, and I'll tie them up for size 10. I think is the smallest, all the way up to the 2. Um, and I love, again, we're catching small bass to I've gotten 3 pounders on it. So
Yeah. We'll we'll have to trade some cuts. I'll have to mail you some cuts with my cutter and have you mail me some
there
smaller
you go.
STPs.
There you go.
But I mean those guys, they
Yeah.
know what's going on, man. And I really thought that with, and this is, I'm going to bring this up because I have to bring it up because Average Joe's had on their Facebook page today, and they've been on the show. I don't ever talk about anybody who hadn't been on the show. Average Joe's had on there today where the Delta variant is, I guess, hitting Kansas City.
Uh-ohs.
And so my biggest fear, River Road Creations, I was talking with them on the phone. They are at a point where Hairline didn't double their order. They went 250 above their order. And so it's hard to get, and Nick will even tell you this, it's hard to get product from River
Yeah.
Road. Vices have gone through the roof. I mean, if you're thinking about fly tying or you're looking at buying materials, buy it now.
Yep.
If this Delta variant does anything this fall like we had in early 2020, fly tying is just getting bigger.
Yeah. Um, unf- I have seen an uptick in membership from the start of COVID. We've seen a bigger percentage of people joining Stupid Simple. I've talked to more people now getting into fly tying than I have 2 years ago. Um, we're mentioning Peak. Last I heard, Peak had like a 4 week waiting period or a 4 week back order on their vices.
Yeah, that's why I didn't buy one. Yeah, because I called Nick and I was like, "Hey, send me a Peak Vice," and he's like, "Oh, I can't. We got a little bit of waiting period." And I'm like, "Dude,
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
like, call me
I'm
when one comes in."
I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna save this store. Don't judge me, but going to Bass Pro Shop and going into their fly tying section, it looks very bleak. Um, Unfortunately,
Yeah,
COVID and the Delta variant and all this, I think we're going to get hit again with trying to get materials as a fly fisherman and fly tire. So be prepared. Um, be prepared of hackle not being available.
and Nick Nick Dooley just posted today, so this is Friday at 7 a.m. That's why we're drinking. Um, when this drops on Tuesday, he posted just like 30 minutes ago that he has a bunch of new materials. So if you're looking to get on before stuff is gone, head to dooley'sflyfishing.com, save 15% with promo code kayak. And if you're looking
The
for a leader, I'm going to go ahead and throw out the leaders. We've got the leaders there at Cutthroat for Old Leaders. Again, promo code kayak. And this is a big thing, fly rods. If you want a custom made fly rod and you want to support a guy who's probably just gone through a hurricane when this drops, Bajuco Flats Flyco. There's a hurricane. I don't think it's going to hit Puerto Rico. Pablo's a great
yeah.
guy. But check out Bajuco Flats. And the only thing else I'm gonna say is, the one thing that aggravates the bejesus out of me is every time I get on any of the Missouri kayaking groups, they're like, "How can I put 5 kayaks on my Ford Escort?" And you know how you can do that? It's with a Tennessee trailer. TennesseeTrailers.com. Get you a Tennessee trailer, and you can haul as many kayaks as you want to underneath the Ford Escort. They're great. I love mine. I've actually driven my trailer more. I've fished less rivers, but since I've been off this summer back to teaching
hmm
school, I have driven my Tennessee trailer all over the place to the local lakes because I don't have to have anybody to pick me up, and I can back it down to the boat dock. I can come home and I can back it into my driveway. It's great. But yeah, you need to get you a Tennessee
I
trailer,
really
buddy.
need to. I've definitely been shopping and checking them out all the time. We're probably going to be looking at a two
I mean,
spot trailer for me and the wife. But yeah, to me,
yeah.
I think
Well, you just spent 30,000 on your 2 Apex kayaks. You need a trailer.
I wish I could say I spent $30,000 on two kayaks. I got two blue light special kayaks,
Oh.
okay? And they get me out on the water and get me to fish off the bank a little bit. So, but no, I think the
Yeah.
trailers are a way to go because they're ready, they're prepped. You throw it onto the hitch and you go. Right now I'm dealing with, it's in the
Mine,
It's in the back of the truck and throw it in there,
my trailer,
and I have to unload them. And to me, I think the trailer's the way to go.
my trailer is in the garage. My SUV is not. And I make my daughter move her car, and I back up, grab the trailer, I go, and then I back it back in and
There you
drop
go. There
it.
you go.
I'm like the world's worst dad. My daughter, she's got a job. She got a job, and she'll come home at night, and I'll wake her up at like 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, "Hey, get up, move your damn car." Oh, I'm like, "I'm going fishing." Why didn't you just park in the drive? I'm like, well, no, you park there.
Gotta
You gotta
move
move
it.
it.
You're in my space. You pay the bills, right?
Yeah. You know where the trailer's at. You never know what I'm gonna do. I mean, I'm like a jackrabbit on crack. You never know what's gonna happen. You know. I wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning. I can't fall back to sleep. By golly, we're going fishing.
Oh man, I'll tell you what. Some of the best
Oh,
fishing stories start at 3 a.m. and you can't sleep.
oh yeah.
Yeah, I believe me. I've
Yeah.
woken up at
Mm,
3, 4 o'clock in the morning, and I'm like, I'm wide awake. I'm ready to go. I have the day off. I wake up the wife and say, "Hey, guess what? I'm going to Iowa for the day. I'm going to go fish. See you later on tonight." And I'll be gone all day.
yeah.
I love those
Well, that's
stories.
what I was gonna go fishing. I was gonna go fishing on Monday, but I've got Al Beatty, the world famous Al Gretchen. I have to say Gretchen and Al Beatty, the world famous, next week on the show. 'Cause, in case you're bored of listening to some loser like Ben here.
The nobody in fly fishing.
So I couldn't go fishing on Monday, so I'm going fishing on going fishing on Tuesday. But my wife said something. I said, "Well," I said, "I'm going on Tuesday." She goes, "Why?" I said, "Well, I've got to be home in time to do the podcast on Monday." She goes, "What do you got going on Tuesday?" I said, "Eh, if I feel like drinking beer and fishing all night," I said, "I'm just going to stay at the
There you
campground."
go. There you go.
Wrong answer, according to her.
My wife asked.
Evidently, the option of getting drunk and staying at a campground down in Arkansas was not the right answer to what time will you be
my
home?
my wife knows the answer of "Oh dark 30." When are you coming home? And it may be 6 o'clock in the morning that I'm going, and I'm like, I'll be home "Oh dark 30."
Yeah.
And she's like, okay, I'll see you 11 o'clock at
Yeah.
night.
But, this is the beauty of where I'm going on Tuesday is there's walleye.
Ooh,
So I'm
yeah.
trout fishing, but there's walleye. So it's like, well, if I get a hold of Jeff from 19 Delta Outdoors, they've got a great podcast. If I get a hold of Jeff and I'm like, dude, I've been fishing at Dam 3. Can I stay at your trailer? He'll be like, yeah. He's got a camper trailer. He's got a nice camper trailer. You know what I
Yep.
mean? And I know where the key is. And it's like, I can just go
Yeah.
crash and get up the next morning and go down and fish and, fish for walleye at night and come back to the cabin. I really think that fly fishing is more about developing relationships and having those friends that you've fished with and been with, and you just get a wild hair and you're like, I'm going to drive 3 hours and go do this. And if I don't want to spend 6 hours in the car, I know somebody here that's going to let me crash.
It's
And I think that's the greatest thing about fly
it's
fishing.
all about the adventure. It's all it is. I
Yeah.
mean, where does the rod take you?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Where does the rod take you?
Yeah.
So I believe me, I've done me and my
Yeah.
buddy. I've got a buddy that fishes with me quite frequently, especially when we go to Missouri, and we've just on a whim just go. Can we get a campground or a campsite? Let's go. See you later. They always say the tug is the drug, and honestly, I think fly fishing is the crack cocaine because you just can't. Once you catch a fish on a fly rod, no matter what it is, it doesn't stop. It just goes down the rabbit hole, and you're done.
Fishing is fun, but it's my daughter is now
Mm.
16. She's always enjoyed fishing, but since she started fly fishing, things have gotten real. And I'm going to say this, and I'm not happy about it. I am in no way promoting this. She has a boyfriend.
Oh no! So have you cleaned the
He
have
doesn't.
you
He
have you
doesn't
cleaned
fly
the guns
fish.
in front of him?
I've shown him the
Okay,
targets.
okay. That's the important part.
I've shown him videos of me.
Establish dominance. Okay.
He's seen the videos of me firing full autos. I mean, he has realized. Which full autos are legal if you have the right paperwork. And I have been to rallies where they have that
Mhm.
disclaimer before anybody turns me into the ATF. I do not own a full
Correct.
auto. But yeah, no, it's funny because he's like he wants to learn how to fly fish because Addison, my daughter, is making fun of him constantly because he's not fly
You
fishing.
know what? I would give her a big high five on that one. Way to go.
No, because I'm still paying for her car.
But you're paying for a car to go fly fishing.
Yes. Yes. But no, it's funny. I mean, and it's weird because I never would have thought that I would have been hell, I didn't think I'd be this old. Live hard, die young, leave a good looking
Yeah.
corpse. That was my theory, and I can attest it's not the years, it's the mileage. But fly fishing will add the miles to you. And but it's a great way to die, man. I mean, you get out there, you get somewhere, you have a great day, you have a great time, especially if you've got a good friend to go with you. That's the
Yeah.
best, man. Being out there and talking trash to one another and telling them you don't you're catching fish on a
Yeah.
fly, and they're like, "Hey, have you got another one of those?" And you're like, "No." And then you break off, and then you're like, tied another one. They're like, "I didn't think you had another one." I said, "Well, I didn't have another one for
Yeah.
you."
Yeah. See, now my buddy, I'm gonna drop his name here. His name's Josh. He goes with me quite a bit down in southern Missouri, and it is so much fun because he hasn't quite grasped the concept of fly fishing, but he wants to, and it's so much fun to teach
Yeah,
him teach anybody about fly fishing, and
yeah,
to see their face just light up because you threw a tiny little size 18 zebra midge that's just thread and wire, little thread and wire, and you're catching a 12-inch 14-inch rainbow. And there's an excitement about being able to, first off, to be able to catch a fish on a fly that you've tied, and there's
yeah.
also even more excitement when you can teach somebody how to fly fish. um
Has has the excitement of catching a fish on your fly worn off?
no,
Because it has for me.
to catch a fly or catch a fish on a fly that I have tied, I I feel like I've accomplished something. Now, there are patterns like woolly buggers. I know I can go anywhere and catch a fish on a woolly bugger. Tie it in olive. But the cool part about fly fishing and fly tying, um, throwing together an odd color. Just be like, I'm gonna tie one in orange and pink hackle, just something crazy, outlandish, and a fish eats it. And then you
Mhm.
keep catching fish on that outlandish fly. That's the fun part for me. Um, I mean, I can sit there and tie olive woolly buggers until I'm blue in the face, and I know I'm going to catch fish. But I've got some strange stuff that I've put together in my box, and I throw that, and I end up catching a fish. I'm just like, this is far out. Maybe I've broken the code. That's the
Yeah.
excitement. It's the adventure.
See, we do chia peppers. My nickname, because when my hair gets longer, I look like a chia pet. We call them chia peppers, and they look like a bright
Yeah.
orange pepper. And they're a
Mhm.
woolly bugger. And my friends every winter, they're like, "Hey, can you? I get 20 chia peppers." And so I get the stuff and I tie up a bunch of chia peppers. Hey, I need. Can you get me 20 smallie pigs? And so I tie up 20 smallie pigs. And for me, I really think dropping down, having been a warm water fisherman for so long, um, dropping down to where I'm not asking, our normal co-host Adam to tie me copper johns or tie me this, but dropping down, I'm more excited about fishing these 16 gnats, Griffith's gnats, and midges than I've been excited about fishing anything I've tied
Yeah. Because
because I don't tie
yeah,
that small.
you're expanding your horizon a bit. You're expanding on your knowledge of
Yeah,
tying flies, and you're like, you always see those fish rising on these tiny little bugs, and you're like, man, if I can only tie down to that size. So then you're using your mind and you're learning the dexterity in your fingers to tie down into a 16, 18, 20, 22. And then you just have a stellar day on one of those small flies. It's just that's what keeps bringing me back. I mean, that it is what it is.
yeah,
I can
and
go and use conventional gear and I can catch fish all day long. I don't have a problem with that. But the adventure part of it is being able to use something new and being able to like just
yeah.
kind of evolve into, I'm catching this trout now on a tiny little fly that I tied up, and I was able to see it, to thread the line and everything. The work was put in, and you end up, getting that goal of catching a fish.
And I've got a couple of friends that are like, "Why are you tying a different fly?" They're like, "We know these flies work. We know we can go out and we can catch smallmouth with these 3 flies. Why would you tie anything else?" And I actually a couple of weeks ago caught a smallie on a fly that I had. It's the rabbit hair. It's all rabbit hair and lead eyes.
Okay.
Crawfish. So you've got the regular zonker strips, and you've got the cross cut on a jig hook. And it's like one of my friends was like, "Why would you even do that when you have a crawfish pattern that is so successful?" And my response was, I thought it looked cool, you know? And tying flies, sometimes it's sort of like, there was a great movie a while back, and one of the, Benicio del Toro said, "Sometimes I think people wanna be criminals more than they wanna commit crime." And sometimes I feel like people want to tie flies more than they wanna catch fish, and I find myself in that once in a while where I'm like, "This is a really cool pattern, I wanna try and do this," but I don't think there's anything
No,
wrong with that.
not at all.
I think it's a neat exercise because when I caught that fish on that brand new pattern, the first day I'd ever thrown it on the 5th cast, that was exciting. The fish wasn't exciting. It wasn't. I mean, it was a good fish. You know, the tug
Yeah.
was nice. But the idea of this was a fly I've never fished, and I tied it over the winter, and I've never casted it before, and I'm getting a fish on it. Man, I tell you what, I think
It,
people. I really.
the other
I'm gonna sound like an a hole
the
here.
other beautiful
But if you're not tying your own flies, I don't. Yeah, go ahead. I don't think you
well, what
understand
I
it.
was gonna say is, as fly fishermen, when we go out and fish, we always want to see what's around the next corner. There could be another better spot around the
Yeah,
corner. Well, when you look at flies, yeah, we know that those flies are successful. But what if we change the color of one little thing on that fly and it's stellar and it just takes you up to that next level?
yeah, and that's why you have to buy a ton of tippet so you can constantly be cutting off and tying on more.
I'll tell you what, the
The tippet industry is only fueled by fly tying.
now the leaders, the cutthroat frilled leaders, I used them religiously
Mm-hmm.
up there in Wisconsin when I was up there. And oh
They're
my
great.
god, it was great. It was great. I never really ran into any knots on the tippet or on the leader itself. Maybe 2-3 feet of
Yeah,
tippet, and I was using the dry fly one, and it worked out phenomenal. Um, after I was done,
I
I
maybe
was
I maybe reach out to 18.
I was using the floating. Like I would put some of the floating that came with.
Mm-hmm.
I'd throw some of that floating on that dry fly, or
Yeah, the
yeah, the
wax.
wax, and then I do it.
Oh, are you talking about the ones that I sent you?
Yeah. So so I absolutely love them. I'm sold on them. I'm look yeah,
They're great.
and
They're great. The salt waters are
okay.
great. I mean, it's a great product. Save 15% promo code kayak cutthroat for oldleaders.com. Um, Ben, I hate to be like this, but I just drank my last drink of beer.
I'm down. I finished off my whiskey drink, so
I saw you down that, and the next pause, I finished off my beer. It's what 8:30 in the morning
something like
now.
that.
Yeah, man. I don't like alcoholics. I don't know if I can have you back on the show.
It's my way of calming my nerves a bit, okay? You make me nervous, Sean.
Yeah. Oh, you don't have the medical marijuana. You have the medical whiskey.
We don't promote or condone that
Oh,
kind of.
Ben, Ben, we can keep rolling we can take a break and go load back up, and we can come back and do another 3
Yeah,
hours.
I
I mean, you and I can do this all day
yeah.
long.
I, anytime that we're talking about
I mean, I
fishing,
hope the listen yeah. I mean, and we really don't give a shit if the listeners enjoy it or not because we've already got paid for
yeah,
this
there you go.
episode.
Wait a minute. Wait,
That's why
wait
we
a
have the
minute. Wait a
sponsors in
minute.
front
You're
of it.
getting paid? Wait,
Oh,
wait.
dude.
Come on.
I'm almost dude, I undersold my sponsorship so bad. Seriously, for $10, I will sponsor anybody for one episode. I undersold my I so, I am so cheap. I am so cheap. Had I known this podcast was going to get as big as it was and I was going to have these huge names like Al Beatty next week, I'd been charging so much more. I'll advertise your nephew's. I'll advertise your nephew's bar mitzvah for $10. I'm telling you, dude. I'll even cut a new intro with it.
Oh my god.
Oh. Yeah, we're losing money at this point in time. We're not making enough to cover the bills. I got this new damn program because the guys from Geek and Gasoline we've already published a podcast. They're like, oh yeah, we're gonna do a podcast, blah. And I'm like, okay. And so I got this new program. It's been 6 months, and they're like, yeah, next couple weeks we'll do it. I'm like, oh. And then I produced the Bigfoot podcast, Understanding Bigfoot, and they just put that on YouTube. They don't do the
Yeah.
actual audio. They just do it on. And I'm like, okay, guys. I'm like, I'll give you, a couple of free episodes. Blah blah. They're like, oh well, we'll get you some
The
money
check
soon.
the check is in the mail. Did you tell them that you have to
Yeah. And I'm
did you
sitting there
tell them
going,
you have to need that money to re-up your membership to Nick Dooley's medic box? I mean, come on.
I'm 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 telling them I need that money to buy a Peak Vice. Somebody out there knows somebody at Peak. Get me a Vice and bring them on the show. We'll run a sponsorship for them for like 5
Yeah. Yeah.
years at the cheap rate that I run it at.
Just imagine that it's
Benny
just
boy, this has
payments.
been great.
It's payments to the Vice.
Oh yeah. I mean it. Yeah. Just like I will slowly pay you back by saying great things about your Vice, whether I believe it or not. Which I absolutely believe in all of my sponsors, but I could say a lot of nice things
Yeah.
for more
There
money
you go.
because they're not giving me $10 an episode. I'll tell you that right now. Friggin' Pablo's gonna listen to this and feel sorry and send me an extra $5 next month. God bless Pablo and Bajuco Flats. He is a class act guy. If I go down to Puerto Rico, he said I could stay in the same room that he has set up for his cat.
For his cat. That's nice. Is that outdoors? Oh, okay.
Yeah. No, his cat has an entire indoor bedroom with a bunch of little trails and stuff, but I can't mess up the cat's stuff. I just have to sleep on the floor around it, and a sleeping bag will take up too
Oh,
much
so
room.
you got to like
So I have to
in the
curl up around the cat tower, and yeah, I've got
yeah.
to, I've got to wrap myself around. Yeah, I can't make the cat mad. Oh, funny stuff. Oh, it's amazing the people you
Yeah.
meet, though. It really is.
Yeah, the
Anyway,
cool part is our sport brings us together like this. Some people that we
yes.
look and idolize to are some of the most down to earth people. And you can reach out to
Oh,
them and they're like, "Sure, why not? Yeah, sure, why not?"
yeah. That's I started the podcast as fun. I never wanted to make money off of it. I just wanted to be able to not be paying to do
Mhm.
it. And I have met so many wonderful people that it's worth losing money on just to get to know
Mhm.
them. And I make the joke losing money. I got a shipment in today from the mad scientist. I mean, I'm getting stuff. I'm not bragging. I'm in no way bragging, but these guys respect me and they respect my you people, you guys, you people. I feel like what was that damn guy's name that ran against Clinton and he got you people. What was his
Oh.
name?
I try to
Oh
stay out of politics
God,
as much as
yeah.
possible.
But you know who I'm talking about. Well, you people. I'm like
Ew.
the listeners
Yeah.
are you people that are listening, you people. Um, I've made so many great friends in this, and I think that is a lot of payment
Yeah.
on its own.
Most definitely. Me and you.
But
Me and you.
anyway,
I didn't
yeah, well, exactly, exactly. I
got
mean,
to give a shout out to
we
Adam because
we
Adam was the
we've
one that made the connection. But, this has been,
yes,
again, fly fishing and fly tying, I really think can be the glue to bring a lot of people together. and to be in a point where you don't
Yes.
have to, like, the outside world and all the stress and all that just disappears. And we
Just don't be one of those a-holes who insists that you use a wire wrap on a woolly bugger.
I honestly never have wire wrapped any of my woolly buggers. Never.
Neither have I, and I've heard guys just scream up and down that you've got to. But
Yep.
that's a whole nother story for a whole nother podcast. Ben, I love you, buddy. I'm gonna go ahead and we're gonna kill this. We are both extremely thirsty, and it's almost 9 o'clock in the morning.
Yes. Yep.
Just want our listeners to know when you come to party with us, you come to party hard.
Life's too
The
short.
Beastie Boys, the Beastie Boys, yeah, the Beastie Boys fought for our right, and we're not gonna deny them.
Yes.
Go ahead and plug your stuff there, Ben.
Hey guys, come check out Stupid Simple Fly Tying group on Facebook. We're constantly trying to add more stuff, and check it out if you're a new fly tyer or somebody that's got a lot of experience. Come join us, hang out with us, show us what you got.
And they are now accepting sponsorships. You can contact Kayak Flyer at kayakflyerpodcast@gmail.com, and you can send us your PayPal, and I'm going to be sure and send it to Nick. And Nick will then pick out whatever supplies he thinks I need, and he will send those to me, and then I will show those pictures on Stupid Simple Fly Tying with Ben's approval.
Sounds fantastic.
Does that sound about right?
Sounds about right. Sounds good.
Yeah. You send it to me. I'll buy stuff from Nick, and then I'll post on your Facebook page.
Yeah. Sounds golden.
Yeah, I mean, if people want to support you, how else can they support you other than having more content on your page?
I love content. Keep showing more flies and more fly fishing. And you know what? I'll tell you too, people that show me cool little gadgets on Stupid Simple that involve fly tying and fly fishing, they sucker me into buying a lot of things.
Hey, I'm gonna give Rick your phone number. I'm just gonna let him start sending you pictures. Rick from Oasis. I'm just gonna let him start sending you pictures. You'll be like 30,000 in debt in like a week and a half. Oh. All right, Benjamin, we're gonna wrap this up.
Sean, it's been fun. Thank you.
Good talking to you, buddy. If we ever need a impromptu guest, we'll get a hold of you again.
Okay, I'll see you in 6 months.
See ya.